All right. All right. Hello, everyone. We want to thank you for joining the Eline podcast. And today we have Roberto Espinosa with us today, and we'll be talking about his project Figmental State, his feature that he's trying to fund and pitch. So, first and foremost, Roberto, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
Awesome. And I am your host, Mark Rose, and then we also have Ellie. So, hello, Ellie.
Hello, Mark.
All right. So, first and foremost, so like Roberto, let's talk about Figmental State. Like, how did this come across? Like, how did this idea, this concept come up? And also, actually, before that, let's talk about you. So, would you consider yourself a writer, a filmmaker, or what?
Well, when I was a child of 5 or 6, to say, I was learning how to speak English because I mostly spoke Spanish. Coming from a Hispanic family, so a lot of Disney tapes were kind of surrounded our home, and I got into them, but it was just mostly like how any kid would, and a VHS copy of Jurassic Park entered our home. And the next thing you know, I am just fascinated by I know every kid was fascinated with dinosaurs, but I was just fascinated with that's like how did they do that? And who's Steven Spielberg? And next thing you know, I'm just like getting books on the subject matter, and and this was pre-internet, so I was kind of gaining myself all this knowledge that I never knew existed, and that's how I kind of became fascinated with movies. In terms of wanting to make my own, probably when I was a teenager and I was starting to kind of expand my mind, and that typical teenager idea, like, oh, I watched Pulp Fiction and it changed my mind, and it blew my mind, and that's sort of what led me into wanting to be a writer and wanting to explore my own ideas and my own experiences. I guess that's where I would start.
Oh, nice. I love that. I love that. And so, what do you like the most in terms of like writing, producing, filming?
Writing, definitely, because I feel like I have the most control there. I've been trying to basically conquer that fear of whether or not your writing is bad or your dialogue is bad. The best way to do it is just to go for it. And a lot of my projects have halted that way, but once you get that fear out of the way and you just let your mind go loose, and you'd be surprised by what you could come up with.
Right, I agree with that.
So you wanted to know about Figmental State, like the origin of that?
Yeah, the origin of Figmental State. So yeah, let's talk about how, how long have you been working on this project, the idea, the concept, and all of that?
The idea came to me when I was in high school, about maybe a senior. I had this little notebook from the high school, and I would just write a bunch of ideas on there. And the whole, I don't know where the boy and imaginary friend concept came from. I just know that when I was a child, I did have an imaginary friend, except it's way different how I portray it than what I had in real life. And that's just how it started. It's just, okay, so there's a boy or a teenager, and he's lonely. He has this friend. No one else can see him. They go on adventures. So it's just kind of like my little Calvin and Hobbes thing for a while. And concept was extremely different back then. I don't think I fully developed it until I got to college, and I took a writing course, and they let me basically just write my first feature, and the concept was just to go from 80 to 90 pages, and I went 138, I believe. And I just wrote. I didn't know I had this completely other concept in my head about a boy wanting to grow up and leave his childhood behind, and that including his imaginary friend. So it just became this other different story, and that's just what basically happened. As for the love story, because it's first and foremost a love story. I've always been fascinated with young romance novels, young adult novels. One of my favorite movies of all time is Marty with Ernest Borgnine and Betsy Blair, and the romance in that film completely changed me and how I approached romance, so to speak. It's just two broken souls finding each other and making each other whole. And I wanted to approach that any way I can. And over the years, I would the best way I could I could find that is in kid shows, so like Steven Universe, Adventure Time, Star versus the Forces of Evil. I would watch that, and what would get me interested was in the quote unquote ships, so to speak. And I'm like, I want to do that. I want to emulate that because it is just fascinating to try to just figure out how two people come together like that. And that's just how the concept has been developing over the years. So I took a break from writing Figmental State. It was originally called Stan back in 2011 because I didn't have a better name. And I just let my
Eminem Stan.
It was originally just called Stan. I didn't have a better name. I'm just Stan. Stan's the imaginary friend character.
Okay.
And I didn't. So I wanted my writing to get better because I read that first draft from 2011 and it was just, yeah, this is amateurish. It's not working. So I put it away. I wrote other scripts. I made other shorts, and I just kind of let my writing get better as time went along. And then when the COVID pandemic came and happened, I just figured I didn't have anything else better to do. So just, you know what, let's go back to this. Let's reread it. Let's change some things, see what we can do. And let's see what we can remove. Like I said, it's 138 pages. So let's cut some stuff. Let's see how we can improve this story. I guess that's where we are right now.
Yeah, and then so also you do have like a GoFundMe for like production of what, $50,000?
Yeah, that was for better or worse, where I wanted to have my goal set.
Yeah. And I like that you pretty much have like this goal, like you know what's needed for the project,
Mhm.
all the help that you need. And that's why like I'm really like totally like behind what you're doing because you know what you want, you know. You have your story, you know, like the vision, and you're just like, okay, this is what I need, this is what I got, what I need to get done, and I want to get it done when the time is right, you know, and I love that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yes. Oh, what was that, Ellie?
no, I was just with this project for you, like I can tell you're passionate about it, but like what does it mean for you when for like the viewer, like if you were the viewer, if you this project gets made and what are you expecting it to do for someone like you that's watching it?
Well, it wasn't until recently that I realized this was an autism story. Me being an autistic filmmaker and wanting to tell this type of story started to mean a lot about people finding themselves and trying to see themselves in stories. I've noticed recently there's been this hunger for stories where the characters are less than perfect. They want realism. They want to see themselves, and that goes for everything. LGBT, disabled, other races, other cultures, anything like that. Um, if so that's basically where it is. Like I guess I just want to make sure people see themselves portrayed properly on screen and that can relate to. And if at the end of the day somebody says like if they can do it then I can, and not just regarding to me but also the characters on screen, then that would be enough for me.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Thank you
Yeah,
for
so what
sharing that.
excites you like the most about like when you visualize like the future of getting this project done? Like what excites you the most about the whole experience of getting this project done?
well, it'll be surreal hearing my own dialogue spoken back to me. I can tell you that. But I guess just the excitement of just being on set, working with the actors, and just having the story told is just I think the whole experience of just production post is just exciting for me. Like I said, I've had this concept for so many years. I've had this script living in my head for as long as I can remember. It's just like, it's finally time to get it out of my head, you know?
And get it into reality. Do you have any like actors that you're excited that you feel like you would like want to have in the film if you could like have any actor or actors? Are
Oh,
there
if I
any?
have like an unlimited budget.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Budget, well, who do you have?
like,
Well,
like the main stars.
I work. I don't know. I like working with unknowns.
Okay.
Yeah, so I wouldn't exactly like. I mean, I wouldn't put like Ryan Reynolds in as the dad or something like that. And I figured like, I'm not a fan of how Hollywood portrays teenagers sometimes. Mostly because they have to cast older people because that's how they get around certain loopholes and they could have them around. But it never feels real to me. It never feels real seeing a 30-year-old play a teenager or an 18-year-old play a kid and so on. It's just like you got to be a certain age to portray a certain age. And I don't know. I just wouldn't it feel better just to have proper kids their age play their own characters? So, um, and it can be done. I mean, Stranger Things became a huge thing, and yeah, the kids in there felt real. So like, why can't we do more of that? Even though there's a lot of limitations with doing that, I feel like the ending result is worth it.
Yeah, you can only film for like 8 hours a day with kids, so
Mm-hmm.
tricky. It's definitely tricky, but and it does cost more. But with your type of film being that's animated, it shouldn't be an issue at all, you know?
Well, it's not well, sorry, I should probably clarify that it's not animated. It's live action. The proof of concepts, all those drawings that you've seen in my YouTube video about what I plan to do with the film, that's all concept art.
Oh, wow.
I,
So
I
I didn't knew that.
sorry, I commissioned art from a couple of my friends who are artists, and that's just their style. They were all influenced by like Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon and stuff like that. So that's how their style comes out. I wish, I mean, animation comes with its own complications, but I never really saw this as an animated story as much as I would, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And so like Roberto, like where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Oh, if everything went right, and this film got made, and it went to festivals and everything, I would just love to get the next one out. This isn't the only film I've had in my head for years. I've had a couple others.
That's
Every
cool.
now and again I'll get an idea and I'll just want to develop it the best I can or as much as I possibly can because I'm always distracted by other projects and I think other people can relate to that. It's like, no, you got to finish this before you can move on to that. And it's hard when you feel like you're missing that limit, that goal, that window to get that story out there, but it's all about patience, really.
Yeah.
So if this film got made and it was out in the world and people liked it, it'll be out of my head. I'd move on and I'd write the next film.
Can you give us like a tease of like the next film or like another project that you're really like excited about?
Sure. I
Okay.
have two. One is already written, but I'm planning to rewrite it. Lily. Lily is about a young woman tried to basically experienced a suicide attempt, and after she's out of the hospital, she basically tries to confront her mother about everything, her past, her childhood, etc. She hasn't seen her sister in years, but she gets herself distracted from things that are going on around her, especially this video store clerk who's going through his own post breakup PTSD, and they kind of find each other in a way. So it's sort of another love story, but I'm trying to explore different subject matters, certain themes. So if I explore autism in this one, I'd be exploring post-traumatic stress disorder in the next one, and kind of continue that cycle of trying to explore people with other problems. I get and somebody noticed that I like people whose biggest enemies are themselves.
Aren't we all though?
Mm-hmm.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, there's another one I haven't written yet, but it's still in development stages. But I've always wanted to do a road trip movie, and I've noticed that most of my friends over the years have been coming out as transgender, and I've had to support that in any way that I can. I'm also dating a transgender male. I hope that doesn't take away from any viewers out there, but I like to be honest about that, and I don't know. I just had this idea for a road trip involving a guy and a transgender woman wanting to find her roots, wanting to explore, wanting to meet her biological family for the first time. And there's so many ways you can do that. It could be a comedy, it could be a drama, it could be all these things. So
I see it as both. That's why I started laughing. I was like, I totally see that being like a dramedy going.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Like an adventure dramedy sort of thing. Just two people getting to know each other and basically just trying to get each other out of their own shells, just breaking out, you know.
Yeah, that's exciting. Like now I'm like really looking forward to that in the future, and I really do want to see that in the future after you get Figmental State out the way, you know.
Oh yeah, that's my priority right now before anything else.
Yeah, I like that. I like how like you're truly like a writer, an artist, and visualizer, and you know you have all these ideas, and you know you're taking your time. And I understand, you know, as an artist, sometimes you kind of feel like, hey, I'm focusing on this, but also like it would be cool to do this, that, and a third. But you are sticking with, you know, Figmental State and getting that under development. And no, that's really nice, and we love to hear that at Elime.
Well, right now the plan is, since we're not getting much funding at the moment, we're halting pre-production and we're focusing on shooting the first 4 pages of the script, which is basically sort of like an origin story. So the idea is that we meet Mike when he's a child, and we meet Stan for the first time, or at least he meets Stan for the first time. And it's called Mike and Stan. So it'll be like it's a little standalone thing. And I would basically say that this is part of a much bigger concept. So if you like this short and you want to see more of it, then you know, we have this film that we're trying to get off the ground.
Yeah. Oh wow. So where can we find like the link for like the funding?
Well, I sorry, I haven't provided it yet on the Meteorite website. I have a website called meteorite-ent.com. But I can also provide it separately. All of my short films, all of my any shorts that I starred in, any experimental projects like documentaries and not music videos, just things that I played around with. I play around a lot with home video footage. So things like that. It's all on there. All of my work is on there.
Okay, nice.
We'll put down below.
Sally?
No, we'll put that down below.
Yeah, we're gonna put it down below. Sometimes I like the audience to hear. But okay, Roberto, we want to just thank you for joining us today at Elime. And I'm very excited about Figmental State. Well, we're very excited about it, what's to come, the future. And we just want to thank you for joining us. And we just want to say, keep creating.
Well, thank you. It was great being here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Take care.